So I just found out the best ways that pros use to get better insanely fast in Fortnite Season 5, which I'll be showing you all today so you can easily get your first high kill win of the season. Now there are 5 crucial steps to improving, which we are going to turn into a bit of a game. Keep track of which of these steps you do. If you have only done 1 or less of these things, then you're kind of a noob default skin. And if you've done 2 to 3 of these things, then you're a mediocre item shop skin, which is, not the best, but definitely alright. And then if you've done 4 of these things, then you're an experienced tier 100 battle pass skin. And if you've done all 5 of these things, then you're a Fortnite Pro exclusive skin. I'm talking the Galaxy skin, the iconic skin, all the best skins you can imagine. That would be you. At the end of the video, be sure to let me know which of these you get in the comments, and I'll try my best to respond to all you guys. Now starting off, let's begin with a pretty basic strategy for new players, and this is to practice your aim. I actually discovered the most overpowered mode for doing this in, which I'm going to show you now. Though of course, keep in mind, if you want to learn how to get better at Fortnite fast, win in Fortnite, and improve at all sorts of Fortnite things, be sure to subscribe with notifications. We're approaching our goal of 50,000, and the vast majority of you all aren't subscribed, and if you all did subscribe, we could actually hit 50,000 right this very second, so, please subscribe, I'd really appreciate it a lot. Alright, we're actually in this pretty cool creative lobby right now, because I'm going to show you the best game mode to go into is. Now you may notice there are a bunch of random people in this lobby. Don't worry, that actually is intentional and is vital for improving. Now if we walk up here, you can see in almost every lobby there'll be, this is actually the first lobby I went into, there's going to be a mode that says BHE or something like that, 1v1 build fights. Now why is this important? Well, if you want to practice your aim, you're going to want to go into one of these game modes. Now here's why. So you're going to walk in, it's going to be anywhere from probably 3 to 8-ish people here, and if we load in, you're going to see that no one is exactly doing any build fights. Instead, they're actually just goofing around, shooting people at random and not actually doing it with any format to it. Now of course, don't give yourself a point just yet because it's a little bit more complicated. What is this guy doing? Come on! Alright, that was close. But as I said, it's a little bit more complicated than this. You can't just go into any creative lobby and mess around. And sadly enough, it is not that easy. What are you doing again? Ha. Here's the deal. There are players absolutely everywhere. Also, you may notice there are shops shooting at me, seriously, but there are a bunch of different guns. So let's say I'm not very good with the charged shotgun, for example. I think they removed it from the game, but let's use this anyway. If I want to improve the charged shotgun, all I have to do is grab it and walk over to players like this guy who seems to be pretty good, and I can practice my aim and practice hitting players with it. There are players everywhere and it's absolutely hectic, but that is actually really important because in a regular game, you're only going to get into a fight like this every 2 or 3 minutes. But in this, you can get a new fight like this every 5-10 seconds, and if you die, you just respawn like what you saw right there. You don't need to worry about going back into another game and waiting like 10 years to load in and landing at a location and looting up to even find a charged shotgun, even though it's not really in the game. So I think you can get the point. This is pretty overpowered. Now personally, what I recommend doing is making a goal of, let's say you can get maybe 5 people in a row with the golden tactical SMG. I didn't even know they made these. So what you do is go around, start fighting people like this guy right over here, keep on going until you get your elimination goal with these weapons. Of course, in the right hand corner you can see how many eliminations you have, which will act as a bit of a tracker if you don't want to do it yourself. Where did this guy go? You can also compare and try and be like the best person in the lobby with the most kills, which is pretty fun. Either way, that's all there is to it. Just go around practicing with all these different weapons and trying to hit all these different moving targets, these moving players that are pretty much everywhere. And you're going to improve your aim incredibly fast, faster than you could possibly imagine. So of course, if you have gone in modes like these before, for the sake of going around, improving your aim and trying to practice and creative, then of course give yourself a point. I think you deserve it. So strategy number 2 that you should do to become a Fortnite Pro actually involves going back to the home screen. Now for this, we actually must select our select game mode. Now of course you have solos, duos, squads, team rumble, then the creative battle lab, those modes, all of the competitive modes, which probably, a lot of pros do that obviously. And then of course, the LTMs, party royale, and stuff like that. Now, which mode do you want to go into? Well, believe it or not, you're going to want to go into team rumble. Why? Because it is a perfect mode for practicing in hectic and chaotic situations. Now again, things are a little bit more complicated than this. There are some very specific things you need to do in Team Rumble, so in order to get that point, make sure that you're doing this to maximize the amount that you can improve, because I hate to break it to you, but if you're just doing Team Rumble at random, messing around, you're probably doing it wrong. Alright, now starting off in the game, you're going to wait 4, 3, 2, 1, and then bam, the storm is announced. Oh, come on, it is really far away. Anyway, hopefully that won't happen. Hopefully it'll be, in the center of the map or somewhere close to you, but I mean, I guess that happens. Either way, you can either land directly in the storm or just loot up. It's really not too important, but the goal here is to only spend about 30 seconds or a minute of looting, just so you have the basic weapons, because you don't really need anything too much fancier than that. Look over there, we got ourselves a tactical SMG that is perfect considering we practiced with it earlier. But of course, you don't need to have the same guns you practiced with earlier, because the point here is actually not to practice your aim, but to practice something a whole lot different than that. Anyway, once you have all the basic loot and stuff, you don't really need anything too fancy. You're just gonna build up, casually go for a walk and build up. And now I bet you're wondering, Storm, we're so high in the air, what could we possibly be doing up here? Well, believe it or not, there's this amazing life hack in this game. Are you guys ready? All you have to do is walk up to the edge, and then jump off. Yep, you're gonna be falling like this, don't worry, and then boom, right there. I know, I can't believe it either, that is awesome. You're gonna respawn right in the center of the storm circle. It's like magical, it like teleports you. It's insane, I know. But look right here, we're in the center of the storm circle from this amazing like feature to the game. I don't know, I mean, it's basically broken, guys. It's
Whatever,
crazy.
man.
I know, but jokes aside, just die in the storm circle, and just like that, you're gonna respawn inside of it. You can go around fighting players. Alright, so now into exactly what the core feature of being Team Rumble really is. Anyway, as the storm closes in, as you can see, there are enemy players everywhere. It is insane. And before you know it, they're all gonna be landing on me. I'm gonna have to like fight every single one of them at once. We have a guy here. We have a second guy right over here. I think there's a third guy. Where is he? Right there's a third guy. And a fourth person all the way down there. Does he see me? Hello. But before you know it, the storm circle is going to be filled with a bunch of players coming here trying to kill you. Now your goal here, how long can you stay alive and how many kills can you get before you die? Look right here, guys, we have the one and the only golden tactical SMG. I didn't even realize these were in the game. I think it's obvious the only way to stay alive is to practice your building and practice how you handle hectic situations. You see, when you're playing in Fortnite, there are going to be countless situations where you're going to be overrun by players in all directions. You're not going to be able to keep track of them. But the hope here is being in Team Rumble, learning how to build and how to handle situations where you don't really know what's going on, where you are absolutely surrounded by players. It'll give you a better idea on how to handle those hectic situations of the game. Plus, a lot of these people aren't the best players, so, if you want to get a couple of easy kills, it's definitely a good place to go to. Either way, if you have gone into a game of Team Rumble for the sake of improving and getting better at the game, then good job. I really think you deserve a point for this. Now on to the next step. Now again, for this step, we're actually back in creative, because this one is to practice your building. However, again, you must go into a very, very specific mode to do this. You can't just go into any mode and goof around and do whatever you want. You're probably not going to improve that much. And believe it or not, this mode is actually pretty popular, so it's not as simple as just playing game of this to get your point. I'm sorry, you're going to have to work a little bit harder for that. Now for this, you're actually going to want to go into a game of box fights. Now the reason for this is pretty simple, because as you can see, you can go from fight to fight to fight, round to round to round, in situations that reflect all about building. Now I know that you might be saying, oh Storm, this is only for like, box fights. These aren't actual regular fights. Obviously, if it's so important to you, you can message a friend or something and do a 1v1 build fight. But personally, I think box fights is amazing, because it focuses on the most important part of building. Because it's one thing if you can get the high ground the fastest, but it's another if you know how to edit, you know where to place builds, you know how to get around these builds, and you know how to take advantage of all that to eliminate another player. Because think about this, anytime you're losing a build fight in the game, you can always build a box around you and turn that fight into at least some sort of a box fight. So what I recommend you do is find a couple of friends down in the comments. Of course, to help you all out, I'll be hearting all the comments that I see of those who are looking for friends to play with, and then obviously do a game of box fights with them. Trust me, you will not regret it. A couple months back, personally, I did this with some friends of mine, and honestly, I improved an incredible amount with my building. I possibly had some of the most improvement there that I've ever had in my years of playing this game. So trust me, guys, you're not going to regret it. And if you have done this, if you have gone into a game of box fights or anything like that, for the sake of improving your building and practicing your edits and everything like that, then you definitely deserve a point. Alright, so on to our strategy number 4. Now the thing about this is in many ways it is very similar to the last strategy. Now why is that? Well, for one, for this, we must practice the endgame. And no, I am not talking about the movie, that it was a pretty great movie, Avengers Endgame, and a pretty cool Fortnite event, but seriously, we're going to practice the other endgame. This has been when you're playing Fortnite for 15-20 minutes, and you're nervous, your palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy, and you're panicking because you're about to get that win, but in front of you in that win, there are still a couple of players. The zone's closing in on you, you gotta build everywhere, and you're panicked. What do you do? Well, most players, you probably don't have too much experience in the endgame, because if you're like me, you're gonna land in the first place the bus flies over, and then, kind of immediately die. And so it's probably rare that most players even get to the endgame. And so what do you do? Well, for one, a great mode to go into, again, just like box fights, is actually Zone Wars. Now, box fights is also decent, but Zone Wars is like the go-to mode that simulates the endgame. But keep in mind, it's very hard to get into like a creative public lobby with Zone Wars. I really wanted to do that right now for you all, but I couldn't. And so instead, what you must do is you must make friends down in the comments below again and play Zone Wars with them. It'll simulate the endgame and you'll get experience and comfortable with it. So next time you're in the endgame, you're not nervous. Sure, the zone's closing on you, and sure, there are players everywhere, but it's okay because you have experience and you know what to do to close in on that win. That is what all the pro players do, but they don't just go into Zone Wars. Again, I know it is not as easy as just going into a game of Zone Wars to get yourself that valuable point, but instead, they are very careful what they do. They act like the game that they are in is like a tournament for $3 million during the Fortnite World Cup final round. It's coming out on this one shot, this one opportunity, and they cannot fail. So that's what you do. You're playing Zone Wars, take it seriously, like a win depends on it, like it's the end game, and practice. And if you do this, you'll get comfortable enough with the end game, so next time you're in the end game in a game, you'll have an advantage against everyone else, because you're going to have experience that they don't have. So of course, give yourself a point if you've done that before, you've gone into Zone Wars, and focus on improving your aim, building, everything we've covered so far, to make sure you're able to get that win while you're in the end game. But keep in mind, all this stuff that we covered in this video, it's pretty important, but none of it matters if you can't do the final and fifth step that we're going to cover right now. But before we get into all of that, I do want to remind you all, if you are new here and want to learn more about how to get better at Fortnite, how to win in Fortnite, and how to improve it, all sorts of other Fortnite things, be sure to subscribe with notifications and help me hit my goal of 50,000, because after all, most of you aren't subscribed, and I really want to hit 50,000 by the end of the year. So guys, you know, it'll help me out more than you could possibly know. Now, obviously, I'm sure you're curious on exactly what this is and why are we in the battle bus, like, what are we doing here? Well, the answer here is to kind of just go into a regular game, but no, it's a bit more complicated than that. Obviously, you don't get the point if you've just played a game of Fortnite before. It's a little bit more complicated than that. There is something very specific that you do have to do. You may wonder exactly why you're landing at Misty Meadows. Now this part is actually pretty crucial, and the reason is I don't know. It was just the first place the bus flew over. I know you probably should not do that, so you know, if you want to get better at the game, land somewhere you know well. Don't just land the first place the bus flew over. It's probably not the best idea. By the way, more importantly, what you want to do is you want to be very careful about everything you do. Be intentional. Once again, pretend you're in the tournament. This is your one opportunity to get a win, to win $3 million at World Cup, whatever you want to tell yourself. But it's important. Act like this round is important, and you're going against the best players in the world. Now, if you're going against the best players in the world, I'm pretty sure you wouldn't land the first place the bus flies over. Just land at Misty Meadows. I'm pretty sure you do a little bit more than that, and you put a little bit more effort. For one thing, if you're like Luke the Notable, of course, you can land at a single location over and over and over again, even 100 times if you want, for the sake of learning all the chest spawns, all the ammo spawns, and getting a good idea of it. Of course, no rotations. Don't go too far from the bus. Don't do too close. Don't just rotate in the middle of the storm. Be intentional in everything you do. The same exact thing goes for when pursuing fights. Like right over here, we have a fight here. Are we going to just run in the fight willy-nilly? Well, if you're like me and playing regularly, you probably would, but that's not what someone would do in a tournament. You'd be a lot more careful, keep a range, maybe use your sniper rifle, build up to high ground, but be intentional with everything you do. And then if you die and you win, reflect on the fight and see what you can do better, what you did well last time to win. Like here, I pushed the guy, I spammed him, that worked well in my favor. I now know that in the future, maybe I should do that again. Anyway, the best way to learn is through practice, so that's what you can do. You can have practice. But one other thing you can do is go into a game of arena where not just you, but people around you are taking the game seriously, and as you rank higher and higher, it will get harder and harder to do. So of course, if you've gone into a game like arena or regular solos game and acted like it was the most important game in the world, and played very carefully and intentionally, like your optic courage and Mr. Beast would give you $100,000 if you win, well, you deserve a point right there. Now, how many points did you get? I would love to know what skin you are, how many points you got, down in the comments below. I can't wait to read through them all. And I'm dead. Oh yeah, guys, and if I helped you out, click down here to learn how to level up incredibly fast this season. Trust me, guys, it is actually pretty insane. But as all I have for now, and I'll see you all later.